So, hello everyone, this is Djuntas, and today we're going to be talking about patch 2.4. This is going to be a short little reaction to the patch notes. In general, here at the start of the video, I just want to say it's awesome that we get developer comments and everything is sort of clear what they want to actually do with the patch. Also, I want to say that I recently did a video where I basically went through like 30 suggestions that I want to see to the game, and some of them are being addressed in this patch as well, so that list is now going to be actually smaller, so that's always awesome. Also, just in general, the patch is still not addressing enough. There's still huge issues. There's still things like the mercenary balancing that is not going to be fixed, but it's a great start, this patch. And I want to start off here with the biggest change that for some reason I didn't even think about this. Why did I not even think about this? This is pathetic, but obviously I'm not a game developer, so I'm just a stupid YouTuber armchair developer. Level area changes. Why did I not think about this? Look at this. Have you even been in any of these areas in Diablo 2 for years? Why would you ever go to these places? But now we actually can for magic finding. There has always been the issues with like some areas are best for Sorceress, some areas are best for a wine druid or whatever. Now there's going to be so many more areas that you can actually magic find in, and this is actually the biggest change in this patch for me personally, having more shit to do in the game. This is such a big change. They can make cool new runewords, they can give us all sorts of fun stuff, but giving us shit to do on the game, a new way to play, that is, that's always going to be the most impactful. This is really awesome. You can see that now they're all jumping up to level 85 area level. This means that now we can actually get all the loots in all of these unused areas. I'm really happy about that. Yeah, such an awesome change. I wanted to highlight this at the start of the video here. So one of my biggest issues with Diablo 2 is the mercenary balancing. I talked about this in like 10 videos on my channel over the years or something like that. They have such an uphill battle to win. It's just not easy, but they are trying to make something like maybe one of the most fun thing that I saw is the Act 3 Mercenaries. One of them is getting enchant, so the fire variation of the Act 3 Iron Wolf is actually getting a way to synergize with your own build. So people who maybe need attack rating, that could be like a Seal or Paladin early on, or Barb build or whatever. They really do struggle for attack rating early on. So that could maybe mean that on a budget or something like that, you could at least consider an Act 3 Merc if you really are hungry for attack rating. Again, the Act 2 Mercenary also has Blessed Aim Aura, but this is a start. I want to highlight that the reason why we use the Act 2 Mercenary all the time is because they have the crazy items that support you, Reaper's Toll, Infinity, Insight, and so on, but they also give the crazy auras, they have the crazy survival and the crazy damage. They have so many things, the Act 2 Mercenaries, and I can already say now that it's not enough what Blizzard has done here. You can see that something like the Act 1 Mercenary, which has probably always been the worst one, it's basically just getting freezing area and explosive areas, so they do more AoE, but that doesn't address the lack of items that the Act 1 Mercenary can use. But this is my general statement now, that I don't think they have done nearly enough to address the mercenary balancing issues. So yeah, I mean, they're even gonna make the Act 2 Mercenary better with these changes here. Yeah, I don't know what to think about it. For now, I'm just not really hopeful. I really hope that Blizzard in the future understands just how bad the balance of the mercenaries are in Diablo 2. And then I also quickly want to address the Sorceress. Now, the biggest change is probably just the cast delay on Blizzard being removed and frozen up as well. That is a major change. That is, wow, that's a buff to Sorceresses, where they... Look, I talked about in my last video that some classes should maybe not have the cast delay removed, where other classes should have it removed, such as the Fire Druid and whatnot. But basically even the Sorceress is getting buffed. Another fun thing was also seeing this one here. They're actually buffing Nova Sorceresses, which was already very strong, but it did lack damage on players 5 to 8 or something. I also don't think this Hydra thing here is gonna be enough. Yes, you can now cast Hydras really fast, you know, get them up really fast on the map and everything, with no cast delay. But look here, this is all you're getting. Why don't we get like a 20% buff to Hydras? They also need to do more damage. In general, I think they're being way too conservative on these underused sorcery skills. And then a quick little thing also for Fist of Heavens and Holy Bolt. These spells are still also not really being buffed that much. Holy Bolt is getting a 50% damage, but what does that matter? 50% of nothing? What? Is this really the biggest way that you can see to make it? Like, you need like a 400% buff. And then Fist of Heaven is just getting Pierce for the bolts when it lands. Blizzard, do you know how bad these skills are? Even if you buff something 100%, 200%, it's still gonna be a way worse alternative to just spamming hammers or going with seal. But okay, at least addressing it, it's a start and everything, but I still think this is not enough by far. And then also just a quick thing for Tesladines, especially while you're leveling, it might actually now be viable to level as a Tesladine, Holadine, Auradine, whatever you want to call it, because of the now big changes here with both scaling, so kind of like single target versus AoE sort of a scenario, you could say, and also just in general that scaling is getting buffed. So it might actually be viable now to level with an actual aura instead of just going with like Fanatism or Might, which is actually very boring to always just choose that only. And then the big one for the Necromancer, in general it did not get much, but it did try to now fix skeleton mages. And I still want to say that I don't think it's enough. The reason why we don't like to use skeleton mages is because it's the ranged mob with bad AI, it's running around and not really doing much. There are some issues where the skeletons, the normal skeleton summons just don't have that because of the bad AI, and it's just being stupid. It's running around, it's looking for a target, it's not doing anything, it's not shooting as fast as a simple melee attack. That's just my overall point of view why the skeleton mages might still not be worth using. And for the Druid, it's generally just a fix of trying to make Fire Druid actually viable. I love these changes, and I also think it's very interesting that I even looked at the werebear utilities for something like Fireclaw. So if we could get both a Summon Druid, a Fire Druid and a Werebear Druid to actually be viable, that would be cool. The one class that I think that I'm most disappointed about is the Barb. They literally don't get any proper changes. Where is the buff to Whirlwind and the proper buff to Frenzy and all those sorts of things? Like, where is the addressing of the early on performance with Barb that are basically just the worst leveling class? The only thing I really see is that the Warcry damage is increased by 30%, which is gonna make an already somewhat viable build at endgame for specific magic finding or whatever better. So that's okay. I'm not gonna complain about Warcry getting buffed, but that is not the overall biggest issue, I would think. The Pierce is also fun, but it's at least not addressing the overall bad damage of throw barbs. So yeah, I'm really disappointed about barbs. I would not want to reroll this in a new season or whatever to feel the new changes out. Just very disappointed so far. The Assassin might be the most exciting class right now in this patch, just because of the martial art changes that are actually gonna make not only the playstyle a lot better, so it's gonna be more easy and more fun to play, but it's also gonna make them a lot stronger. Something like the Dragonflight also not having casting delay or whatever removed. So these changes are gonna make the Assassin actually one of the most exciting classes. But I will say that it does not really address my main issue with the Assassin, the reliance on Death Sentry. Yes, they are buffing the fire traps, so that's good. They're gonna make the fire traps better. But I still worry that every Assassin build are still just gonna want to rely on Death Sentry. And then for the Amazon, it's pretty straightforward. They're removing some synergies much like the other classes. They are also trying to make Impale and Fend work better, so that's good. And also the important changes with the dodge and avoid actually getting fixed. So now there's no reason not to at least put 1 point or maybe even more in those skills, because the stun animation is gone. So some really good changes. But I still also worry it's not enough. Yes, they're trying to make fire skills better, fire bow and whatnot better, but the damage part is not really they are trying to buff maybe like strafe, so that's good. They're trying to buff like guided arrow, but I still think that the bow Amazon needs a lot of changes, even skill changes maybe. But at least the damage part has to go up, because right now they're still going to be one of the worst damage builds in this game. And it's not like, you know, the other classes are not getting buffed damage wise as well in this patch. And now just a quick look at the new runewords. So I wouldn't say that none of them are particularly interesting, but it's also too early to tell if they could be part of some sort of meta, some sort of gearing path. In general, I think the main thing I would like to see runewords is that they're gonna give some life into early on ladder reset for melee builds, so they can't quite afford like a grief yet, or some other really high-end runeword like a death runeword. So I like something like this plague sword here that has a lot of enhanced damage, has some other futures that could perhaps actually make a melee build better. It's the same thing for like this one, can also be very fun for the new and improved assassins and whatnot. I think there are some potential in these ones. But let's take a look at this bow and crossbow first. So this is a very interesting option, mainly because it has +3 to all skills, it has resist, so it's already very defensive. That's gonna give some synergy to maybe like cold arrow, fire arrow, bow Amazons, but it also has a lot of enhanced damage. Can this compete with a fade? Maybe. I mean, it has concentration, or that is going to help quite a bit. Still, I think that I think it's gonna be hard if this can actually compete with a Fate or Wind Force. It's hard to tell right now. It has a lot of good stats. I'm hopeful about this particular weapon here, but I also want to quickly scroll up and see something like this. This is useless. A 6-socketed staff, that's already annoying to find. Then it's gonna acquire a Sod rune. Okay, so that's just trying to make Sod rune have some sort of value. But now look at this. It has knockback. What sorcerer or caster build wants knockback? That is such a terrible thing. Maybe it's good for like, I don't know, gold magic find or something like that, but who wants to use a Sod rune, East rune on this weapon here? You're gonna lose out on Spirit Shield and you're gonna lose out on Hotu. So already there you're like, why would I ever want to use this item then? I really can't see any reason why I would ever want to use this weapon here on like a Sorceress or some other staff user. Fill me in if I'm wrong here, but I think this is like the perfect example of a really bad item that nobody's going to use, except for maybe if you can get like a cheap sword rune and you find a staff with 6 sockets in it. This is an excellent helm for leveling early on with like a Javason or bow Amazon, or maybe some other class that needs pairs. The 5 mana after each kill is such a good stat for getting a Javason, just spamming those lightning furies and everything. But they rune it with a pulp rune. Who has a pulp rune at this early on in the game? I don't understand this. This should max have been maybe, I would say, a Tull rune, maybe a Limp rune or something like that. Pull is just too much. I don't like this. But still, this is a very, very good designed item for leveling and early on performance when you're just trying to grind out gear. Still, I don't understand this reasoning here with Pulp Rune. Unbending Will, it has such a great name. It even has a very interesting thing here with Taunt on Striking. And it's on striking, so it's not like some other stupid shit that's not gonna help you. On striking, that means it's gonna proc a lot. It's a 6-socketed sword, that's hard to find. Still, it doesn't really have so much else going for it. It has some life on hit, so that's pretty decent. It also has a lot of enhanced damage and some increased attack speed. But +3 to combat skills, barb only. Why combat skills only? Shouldn't it just be +3 to all barb skills? Make it a little bit better. But still, the proc is very interesting. I would love to see if somebody could actually find some use out of this weapon here. I'm not gonna rule out this one being very good just because of the enhanced damage and the increased attack speed. But I think that's pretty much it for my video here. Overview of patch 2.4. It's so cool to see that a lot of the things that I even talked about in my last video are now getting addressed. Still, I think we have a long way to go before my last video is also going to be actually done. Especially I just want to see the mercenary balance fixed. It has to be even better. I'm already addressing it now because I know it's not going to be enough. I want bow Amazon to be even better. I want the Barb, especially the early on performance of Barb, leveling and undergeared and so on, being much better. These changes has to come later on, but for now it is a very good patch. I'm excited for this. It's actually pretty cool. So yeah, thank you so much for watching everyone and have a good one.